Hello and welcome back to the Listening to Your Gut podcast. If you hear me smooching, it is my little man, Riker. He is sitting in my lap. He sees that I have a matcha from Dunkin', and he wants desperately to have some of that. So he is here hoping he will get something. Riley is on the floor next to us, trying to get a spot on the chair, but the chair is not big enough for her. So she is just down here hanging out, and I am petting her and him. So my two divas, my male and female diva, are with me today. I am really excited about this episode. I mean, I say that about every episode, but I was thinking about like would I be really excited to chat about this weekend? And recently, a women's health coach that I follow, that is a friend of mine, was talking about a specific type of tea that she recommends for the menstrual phase of your cycle. And so I did some research into that, and I'm going to share a little bit about that today. But I wanted to give you like the full scope of how could you truly cycle sync with teas, because we know we can seed cycle, we know that we can cycle sync with food and with um, our physical fitness, so nutrition and movement. But I don't think the idea of cycle syncing with tea is talked about much. And in doing my research, there's little to no studies and articles out on this. It's a relatively like unapproached topic. And so, what I'm going to share with you is from wellness educators that have, taken their knowledge and expertise and also their understanding of teas and how, what properties they have and their effectiveness on the body for different ailments and different conditions and, in this case, different parts of your cycle. And I'm going to share those with you today. And my hope is that when you hear what I have to say, you're not overwhelmed by like, oh my gosh, so every part of all four phases of my cycle, I have to like drink something different. Not necessarily. I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to give you, the full scope as I always do, all the options. And then I'm going to tell you, if you're someone who just wants to be basic and, have as few items as possible, I'm going to share with you what you can do. My suggestion for you. So I'll share that at the end. I will also name drop a couple different brands that I would recommend that you look into if you are not wanting to go a la carte and buy some of these things at the store. Maybe you just want everything in a bundle or whatever. I will name drop a couple of brands that I would recommend to you, if that's the route or avenue that you want to go. So yeah, we're gonna start with the menstrual phase because that is the first phase of our cycle. Then we'll go to follicular, then we'll go to ovulatory, and we'll end with luteal. And like I said, I will break down for you, why these are important for each phase, all the nitty-gritty details that you need to know. Um, and yeah, we'll go from there. Also, I just side tangent. If you are watching on YouTube, my hair is giving. Like the sun, well, the sun's not really out right now, but it is kind of, bright outside. And like the natural light on my hair, I'm just like, yes, I'm loving the tint. I'm also loving how my hair just kind of naturally did what it did today. This is great. Like, this is called air drying your hair and not using any product. This is what happens. I'm not mad about it. Also, team short hair. I will never go back to long hair. I love my hair short. It is so friggin' easy to take care of. So side tangent done. Let's get into the juice of this episode because that is why you tuned in today. I know. So let's go. Let's do this. All right. So your menstrual phase is that first phase of your cycle. It is your bleed. It's where you're shedding that uterine lining. And there are three that I'm going to mention to you. Actually, a fourth I'm going to mention to you. Four I'm going to mention. One out of the four, though, this I'll tell you when we get there. but this one is controversial, so I'll tell you why when we get to that one. I'll share that one last. So, for the menstrual phase of your cycle, we've known for a long time that red raspberry leaf tea is going to help you, and it's going to help reduce and alleviate cramping. But most importantly, it is a good way to restore your iron levels because when you are shedding that uterine lining, you are losing blood, and so obviously we need, with that, iron is in our blood, so we need more iron after we've gone through our menstrual um, phase. So that would be one I would recommend is raspberry leaf tea. Um, and again, you'll see some of these overlap here as we talk about each of the different phases, but red raspberry leaf tea I would definitely recommend. It's also very tasty. I like it. So it's an easy one to, I would personally drink it warm, but you could, if it's the summertime and you want to have it iced, you could make it iced as well. The next one would be ginger tea. This is especially helpful for cramping. It is also going to help warm you up and just it helps to boost your circulation in the body, so that's great as well. And it's also an anti-inflammatory, so it's going to help relieve some of those symptoms of cramping, the pain. Then we have chamomile, and we know that's obviously such a great one for relaxation, and also its comfort properties. So that would be a great one as well. Here's the one that's controversial. So hibiscus, this is the one that I just recently heard one of my friends talking about, who's a health coach. Um, she just recently shared about this one. And while I love it, in theory, it's great. If you are someone who um, is thinking about getting pregnant or are pregnant, I would not go this route of using hibiscus tea because while it does help with period related symptoms like cramps and bloating, um, it can mess with your hormones and contribute to early labor and miscarriage because um, it actually helps to increase blood flow. And so with that, it can speed up the process and or it can, mess with the pregnancy as well. So, just messing with hormones, messing with the body while it's trying to do that intricate task of, creating a baby, it just wouldn't mess with. So if you are thinking about having getting pregnant or you are pregnant, I would not go the hibiscus tea route for cycle syncing. But those who are not, pregnant, not wanting to be pregnant, this could be a good option because it's also great for, like I said, it's good for the menstrual phase. It's also good for PMS. So right before, in your luteal phase, it has high levels of vitamin C, and those help to regulate hormone production. But again, like I said, it can mess with your hormones, so we just don't want to go down that route if you are someone who is thinking about becoming pregnant or are pregnant. Okay, it can lead to early labor and miscarriages. So we just don't want that. So then let's move into the follicular phase. Okay, this is after your bleed is done. You move into the follicular phase. I'm not going to give you approximate days because everybody's cycle is different, right? We know that, the one we typically see in literature and stuff is a 28-day cycle, but, mine is typically 32 days or 33. So, because of that, everybody's windows of their phases are a little bit different. So just know that, you do the math and figure out when those days are for you. All right, so then after the menstrual phase, we get to the follicular phase. And the follicular phase, there are two that I'm going to share with you. One is nettle tea, the other is going to be green tea, specifically matcha. We'll get into green tea and matcha in a moment. But nettle tea is going to be great because it has anti-inflammatory benefits. It also can help regulate your blood sugar so that, you're not spiking. It also is really good for your immune system. It helps to keep a strong immune system. It's good for your hair, skin, and brain function. It also helps with anemia. So just like we were talking about, you lose a lot of blood in the menstrual phase. We need to, naturally get that back in some way, shape, or form. So, nettle tea also is high in iron, so it can help with, reducing the potential um, possibility of you becoming anemic because of the blood loss. And it can also help aid in digestion. So those are just some of the benefits of nettle tea. And then with green tea is a great way to get your to get antioxidants, and it also helps to detoxify the body. Green tea does. And green tea is also a great, I like to say, natural way to um, get energy um, that we get oftentimes from coffee, but it's just it's the more natural way to go about it. Yes, there is some caffeine in green tea, but not as much as we're getting from coffee. It just it settles in the body differently. It just does. So matcha green tea, and just green tea in general is a better way to get a little bit of caffeine in, but also to get that energy from it as well. So, all right, then we have the ovulatory phase, which is 24 hours, but usually what we see as advertised is it's 1 to 3 days. That's because unless you're tracking it, with your cervical mucus or like a BBT, um, you won't know when that is actually happening, right? You can kind of guesstimate. And so during this phase, sometimes people have ovulatory cramps. I don't personally have that, but sometimes people have ovulatory cramps. And sometimes we can experience some digestive distress that comes out or shows itself in the form of constipation. So, the two that I'm going to recommend in this phase would be dandelion tea and peppermint tea. Um, both of those are going to help with, dandelion tea is going to really help with aiding in digestion. Peppermint tea is going to help be more cooling. So, especially like in the summertime, that could be helpful. And they're also going to help, aid with reducing the cramping that you're having if you are someone who has ovulatory cramps. Um, if I were to pick one out of these two, I would say dandelion tea, only because you're going to see that in the luteal phase, that one comes up again. So if you don't want to have to constantly switch, and especially since the ovulatory phase is so short, I would just recommend sticking with dandelion tea because then you can, during your ovulatory and luteal phase, you can just stick with dandelion tea and not have to worry about switching it up. So, um, finally, is the luteal phase, and that, like I said, is going to be dandelion tea is my recommendation, as well as chamomile tea. So again, dandelion tea is going to help aid in digestion. Then chamomile tea we know is going to help calm and soothe the body, so it's going to help the nervous system also relax as well. And both of these I think would be great to have on hand or in stock at home because you could go back and forth. I would say maybe starting with dandelion tea, like start in your ovulatory phase with dandelion tea, and then as you maybe get closer and closer to menstrual phase, switch over to chamomile because it just, provides that soothing support and will also help with the cramping as well. But then chamomile tea also is going to, if I didn't say earlier, it's going to help with digestion, especially when digestion can start to be a little bit sluggish as we near towards the menstrual phase. Um, because our progesterone is increasing and our estrogen is decreasing. So, that's just something to keep in mind too. Like everything that we do in life, consistency is going to be key. So, if you start to implement a regimen of tea cycling with your cycle, just doing it one day or one cycle through your full 28 or 32 days or however long your full cycle is not going to provide you with probably the results you're looking for. It's gonna be something that you want to be consistent with, and I would say after consistently doing it for 3 cycles, roughly, 90 days, you're gonna see benefit. You're gonna see reduction in, symptoms like bloating and cramping. You're gonna see a reduction in some of like the dehydration symptoms that we often get because we're not drinking enough water. Tea, is made with water, so you're gonna help hydrate your body, which is naturally gonna give you more energy just throughout your cycle. So just know that if you want to start implementing a tea routine with your cycle and cycle syncing with tea, that you're going to want to be consistent with it, because if not, you're not really going to see the fruits of your labor, so to speak. Okay, so if you're like, Kelly, I don't want to have to do like all these teas, like this is great information, but I don't want to have to like remember the strict regimen. First of all, it doesn't have to be strict, but I don't want to have to remember like when to drink what. We can really simplify this. So if I were you, I would try to narrow it down to like maybe 3 of these teas. So I would say, me personally, I love the red raspberry leaf tea. So I would do that for my menstrual phase. For follicular, I would go with green tea. That's just my personal preference. But if you like nettle, then you can go with that. And then dandelion you can have for your ovulation and luteal phase. If you don't like dandelion, you'd rather do chamomile, then do that, right? But I think I would go with raspberry leaf, green tea, and dandelion tea. Those would be my 3. Um, Now, the other thing I want to mention to you is that there are some great brands out there that if you don't want to, purchase individual teas and you want to get like a package, Wisdom of the Womb is great. Their founder, Ariel Myers, is incredible. Um, and she has some amazing teas that you can find. She is at Wisdom of the Womb. Um, so I will link her information in the show notes. And then also Soulful tea blends. They actually have 4 jars. One's called Flow for menstrual phase, one's called Refresh for the follicular, Energize for ovulatory, and then Balance for luteal. So like if you're interested in that, those are 4 jars. They're $60 for a 3-month supply. When I checked their website, they were out. So you might want to check back and see like when they're going to be in stock, or maybe reach out. But that could be another option, to get those that would last you 3 months. Then you could obviously see after the 3 months how you feel, and if you want to continue, cycling your feminine cycle with tea. But yeah, that is in a nutshell, cycle syncing with tea. If you're interested in learning more about that, or you have other questions, I'm an open book, so feel free to reach out to me and ask me any and all questions you have. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing week, amazing start to your week, amazing end to your week whenever you're listening to this. And yeah, I will chat with you soon. Take care.